And our last thing is now we're gonna add the detail to our desert. And if you don't know how to draw a cactus, it's fairly easy. They're a little bit bigger on the bottom. These are saguaro cactus. And they kind of look like people. Who have their arms spread apart. And don't forget to draw the little spikes on your cactus. And you're going to keep going, and so that when you get down to the very end, it's going to be hard because I'm using kind of a thick marker, but you're going to have these little cactus. Now another kind of cactus that you can draw in here is called the barrel cactus. And they kind of look like big pin cushions. If you know anybody who sews. So they kind of have this like beach ball shape. And you might want to draw like a flower on it. You can draw some tumbleweeds. Another thing you can draw is maybe another kind of cactus that we have a lot in California. People like to put these in their garden. They're called prickly pear. And those are the cactus that, I don't know, I like to think of them as bunches of grapes. They kind of grow out of each other like this. Kind of like they're stacked on top. Maybe like snowmen. And then they have these little pink buds and these beautiful bright pink flowers. And then when you feel like you are happy with the way your space is filled up, you can start to color. Now, when I was talking before, I said that you want to give the impression that your ravine goes down, and you can achieve that by shading. Pick like a darker color, darker brown, and on your left-hand side, color it in a lot darker. Now I'm doing this really quickly just so that you can see the effect. And then as you go farther to the right, you're not going to push as hard. You're not going to make it as dark. And this will give you the impression that it gets deeper the farther it goes down. And if you are using colored pencils or crayons, you can even color the other side with a lighter brown. I always recommend using multiple colors, especially when you're using crayon or colored pencil. It's a little harder with marker. That gives you the ability to do some shading and kind of create your own custom colors, which will in turn give your picture a lot more depth. Because things in real life, you know, they cast shadows. There are different variations of color depending on where you're standing, the way things grow. If you think about like a pumpkin or an apple, how they're drawn in a cartoon, but versus how they're drawn like in, I mean, how they look in real life. Like a real apple isn't just one color. Even the red apples and the green apples, they have like a little bit of, green apples have a little bit of yellow in them. And then there are some darker spots and lighter spots. Same thing with pumpkins. There are places where, you know, it looks more yellow and maybe even some brown spots. So adding layer upon layer of color just makes it look more realistic. I might even want to take a little bit of black and just hit a few spots very close to the edge to give the impression that it gets really dark down there. It's in shadow. Can't see it. I don't even know what's down there. I definitely don't want to fall down there. So see how it, from far away, looks like it gets deeper as it goes down. You can also use this technique when you are coloring in the cactus. For example, like in the prickly pear, I'm just gonna put on like a base color with this regular green. But because prickly pear cactus really overlaps a lot, some of it's going to be in shadow. And so the part of the cactus that is behind the other, I'm going to make that a little bit darker. Just gives you the impression that they are not just completely flat, that there's depth, that some are in front of others. This one's behind the rock. And then I'm going to take a different color green. This is like a yellow green, and I'm gonna go over and kind of blend that. Now most basic colored pencil and crayon packs, they have at least the light green and dark green. If you have a larger pack, you might have more colors. Like mine is a 24 pack, and it also came with this jade color, which is kind of like a swamp green. You can add some of that in there if you have that color. If not, just light green and dark green work just fine. It'll just give your cactus a little bit more dimension. These cactus aren't all the same color. I'm not going to sit here and color all of them for you, but I just wanted to show you a couple of different shading and color techniques. And you can achieve the same thing with your mountains. Have the ones in front be like a lighter color. And if you are doing yours in sunset like mine, something that's kind of cool to try is if you take, like I'm gonna add a little bit of orange because these are supposed to be sandstone. And then I'm gonna take this like bluish color, this light blue, and I'm going to make my shadows by using the blue. Because blue and orange are on the other end, are on opposite ends of the color wheel. And so it's a really good choice when you're trying to cast shadow. You could also use yellow and purple. Remember, darker in the back, lighter in the front, if you want to give the appearance of depth. And you don't want to just make them all exactly the same color, because things don't really look like that. Okay. When you're all done, it should be nice and bright and colorful, and you have your desert landscape from One Point Perspective. This is the one that I did that is now finished. I didn't add any sort of wildlife in it, but I would love to see what you come up with. Come post it on our Google Classroom and share it out with your friends and family if anyone is looking for an art lesson. See you next time.